Yeah,
You're already on my screen, okay?
I think so. Should I?
You are.
Okay,
Yep,
sound good?
yep.
Thank you.
Every time you on because Berta might be wondering what's going on, you know?
Yeah,
So
right,
this way she knows you're there.
yes. I'm here, Berta. Could you, sit in one of these end seats? Because I'm going to be right here. And I found some, have a seat and I'll show you. I found some old photos. When I first started playing piano, from 1945, Joy at 4. And this one was 2 years later, in 1947. This group moves slowly. I'm trying to get them here, but
If you're down there on that chair talking, are you gonna take the microphone with you?
I thought I'd just stand and leave it where it is.
Okay.
Would it be better?
No,
No.
Berta won't be able to hear you if you don't take the mic with you.
If I stand here, will it?
Yes.
She'll hear. Okay. Well, I have everything on the stand here, so
Okay.
I'll just do it mainly here.
Well, I can come down and move with you whenever you move. I'll do that.
You sure?
Yeah. Then she'll be able to hear.
Okay. I guess I better tell them that Berta and others are waiting, right?
Yes.
Lisa asked me to tell Lisa.
Is that seat taken?
We're putting you all as close as possible to the grand piano. So I will try to remember to talk about it. If you can come down this way, even when I'm not on the mic, you can maybe hear me. I'm going to start with some pictures that part of the group saw last time. This was taken in 1945 when I was 4 years old. This is Joy at 4. I just found some of these old photos. And this one,
the piano at that 4 years old.
and here I'm 6 in 1947. I think my mom got me a perm by then because my hair was always straight as a stick.
That's precious. You still have the same hairstyle.
Yeah. And one other little thing, in case we have time for the song Edelweiss, when I directed The Sound of Music. My Austrian sister that I lived with when I was 18 years old gave me a real Edelweiss, and this one is over 60 years old, 64 years old. It still looks like awesome white. Blumengrove. So, real Edelweiss.
Oh, my goodness, that is
I
really.
thought maybe here since I'm running back and forth.
There you go. Feel free to move wherever you want.
Okay. If you can't hear me, please let me know. Thank you. I've always loved to play the piano. Even today, with my fingers trembling, my double vision, and my singing voice moving from alto to bass, the piano brings me great joy. I was born in Indiana and moved to Elgin, Illinois when I was 2 years old. I don't remember it. And from then on, one of my early memories of Elgin is of the piano in our living room. When my brother Neil was 6 years old, he began to take piano lessons from Miss Jessie Ashman. She had braces on her legs because she had been stricken with polio. I surmise that because of her polio, she had never married. We students were her whole life, and she took her lessons seriously, very seriously. I asked Mom why I couldn't take some lessons too. She hesitated and said, "Well, yes, I could ask." Miss Ashman looked at me dubiously. "How old is she?" She asked Mom, and I answered, "4." I thought that was pretty impressive. "Well, no," she answered. "I never take students if they're under 6 years of age, and they have to be at least 6 and be able to read." I was crushed. Back at home, I jumped up next to Neil on the piano bench almost every time he practiced. I looked at the beginner's book and asked about each note that he was playing, and then I said, "No, of these 88 keys," he told me, "where's the middle C? Oh, and where's D?" And so soon he was off to first grade, and I was practicing the piano. He was surprised that I was almost keeping up with him. After about 6 months, Mom, move this down here, Mom took me to see Miss Ashman again. Mom told her that I could play through all 3 books that Neil had mastered, playing with both hands, and when I played Rosebud Band for her, a piece with an F sharp in the key signature, she gave in. So officially I began piano lessons in March and played in my first piano recital in June, just a week or 2 before my 5th birthday. Miss Ashman's recitals with 30 or 40 students were held at the Elgin Academy in an art gallery, and they had beautiful paintings that were life-size of George Washington and people like that. As I recall, I was not a bit frightened, though I had a little trouble getting up on the piano bench. It was way too high for me. My brother Neil claims that I just stood next to the piano and played like this, but that's not true. I know I struggled and sat down on that piano bench. The song, I don't know if this is the song we did, but it seemed to kind of fit. It goes, "Here we come, the Rosebud Band, sweetest music in the land. Hope you like our little tune. We'll be playing big ones soon." Hope you like our little tune. We'll be playing big ones soon. Actually, losing myself in the music turned out to be very helpful to me later in life. I had no problem concentrating in college because while writing papers, because I was blessed with 2 roommates and a lot of friends. But it turned out that the noise in my dormitory was ready to stop the studying and have some fun. I was used to chaos. I had a family of 7 of us. So off we went to some other information here. Musical memories. Of course, I went to piano lessons all year, but in the summer, I was fortunate to try some other musical instruments. In 1950, I began playing in the citywide summer violin class, which held its first concert at the high school in 1951. After 2 years of violin lessons, I switched to viola for 3 years through the 8th grade. And I finally was in the Illinois Junior High Orchestra, first chair viola. And we rehearsed in Evanston, Illinois, near Northwestern University, and presented an exciting concert that spring. So besides playing in the orchestra, which drew students from the northern half of Illinois, I played in the school Modern Music Masters group and also in a string quartet. But my real love was piano. So usually my first accompanying job was for a solo ensemble festival. And my brother Neil was playing the French horn. He was in 4th grade, and I was in 2nd grade by then. And we did a little bit of the Adagio Cantabile by Beethoven, which is a lovely number. I'll just play the first page or so. But this is Beethoven, has to be good. Thank you. Now, where am I? I can't remember what the rating was that we received. They'd had excellent, good, and all that kind of thing. But I think that the orchestra and band teachers who got us there were pleased. They drove Neil and me to an ice cream shop and bought us strawberry milkshakes, which I had never tasted before. Unfortunately, the rich treat upset my stomach, and I threw up on the back seat of the band director's car. So embarrassed. He wanted to take me to the hospital. But I insisted that I was just fine, and in fact, I did feel much better after I lost my milkshake. In 8th and 9th grade, I started another accompaniment. Oh, I forgot to mention, I skipped some here, that often at a solo ensemble festival, I play for 10 or 12 musicians. I'd accompany them and run from room to room to try to get there in time for their number. But finally, I finished all of that, and in 8th and 9th grade, I started another accompaniment job, but this time I got paid for it. I played piano after school at a ballet school in downtown Elgin, which was near Chicago, 35 miles from Chicago. The teacher was from there and had originally been in a professional ballet troupe in Europe, and she was very good. We had a lot of Nutcracker and all kinds of other wonderful music, which I really enjoyed. So anyway, that was my girlfriends, I was going to say, were dancers at the school, so I got to see my friends a lot. I played the warm-up exercises so frequently I can still play them today. You know, when they stand like this and they point this way and then to the side and then to the back. I couldn't do that, but I played the piano for them. Something like this. But then there were fun things besides Nutcracker to do. The leader of this ballet school was a little unconventional. Today, they only do it with tapes of some kind or another, and you have to keep up with the tapes, and you can't leave this out or that. She was conventional European at that time, and that was that she wanted the music to be the leader, and they would be the followers. So she would leave out part of the song, add something else, make this part a little faster, this one a little slower, and anyway, she controlled the show, not the little tape recorder. So that was my job, to keep up with her. Want to go on to piano camp. Let's see where I am. Yeah, just a minute, excuse me. Elgin had a marvelous instrumental music program when I was a girl, and I really enjoyed it. But actually, I've got too many notes here. I won a contest for this state of Illinois, where we went off to camp at, I've lost it here. Okay, we went to camp at the University of Illinois. And I went to piano camp for a week, and my town, Elgin, paid for that. And then for the second week, I went to choir camp, and 7 other friends from Elgin were at that camp with me the second week. And we had a wonderful time. At the piano camp, which was the first week, which I can't seem to find here, okay. Here it is. The summer of 1956, I won a scholarship to attend Illinois Summer Youth Piano Camp at the university, and we got to sleep in the dorms where the college students were during the school year. And we had a wonderful time together there. In piano camp, we were told that we must prepare one piece for our daily private piano lesson. And for 5 days, I played only that song, Clair de Lune, at my lesson. Before long, it was memorized. And ever since Wayne heard it, this piece has always been his very favorite. The thing is, every time I play it, he falls asleep. If you like it so much, I said, why do you fall asleep? Because it relaxes me, he said. And he's still always, I know what he's going to say. What can I play for you? Clair de Lune. Well, I hope I can do it without the music, though. We'll see. That was part of it. Okay. Musical memories. On September 28th this year, the moon that you heard about in this, Clair de Lune, the Song of the Moon, by Debussy, it was, in real life, it was gorgeous. I don't know if any of you saw it that night, but there was about 15 minutes that the moon looked like daylight. At 5 in the morning, my husband told me, because I didn't see it. He said it was amazing. Where you come for coterie at our house, that's the cottage. We sleep in the loft at the top of the log home next door to it. And he had gotten up to use the facilities, and he was looking down from the loft, and he said that the moon was so bright that night that it would look like daylight, and it was like a floodlight shining on the roof of the cabin that you all know so well. And he couldn't get over it. And I was thinking about Clair de Lune, how beautiful it is, and how we sang that, or saw that. And later on in this thing, I'm going to do another thing to the moon, and that's Blue Moon. I don't know if any of you remember, that was a pop song in the 1950s. So I thought if you wanted to have a little title for this concert, it would be From Clair de Lune to Blue Moon, and we'll talk about that later. But Clair de Lune was from the Romantic period, which followed right after Beethoven and the period, well, there was classical and then there's Romantic. And then way down the line somewhere, there was the 1950s pop music. And the reason we did that is my Austrian sister loved American pop music. So I taught her how to play by ear, which was a lot of fun. So let's see if I can find that information. Okay, Camp Emmaus is the next one. The same summer that I went to music camp at the University of Illinois, I decided to go to church camp. And my father was the national treasurer of the Church of the Brethren, which is something like Mennonites. And anyway, we had national meetings, or he did. I told my mom I was not going because I had asked a bunch of my friends and nobody from my church was going to Camp Emmaus. And she said, why don't you just try it? It's only a week. I said, well, I spent 2 weeks at music camp. No, I think you should try it. So I did. And Camp Emmaus, which was west of Elgin, not far from Mount Morris, I didn't know a soul in the camp, but I immediately felt accepted and loved and glad I had come. Every night we had a campfire with wonderful singing and heartfelt prayers, and our traditions were just really a wonderful time. During that week, God became so much more real to me, not just off somewhere ruling the universe, but present in my life. The music flooded my soul. The setting sun in the forest warmed my spirit. I went home hugging everyone. My dad said, Joy seems different. And maybe I was. Later that year, I read a book which also changed my life. It was called The Practice of the Presence of God. I have no idea where it's located now, but I read it then. And it was strange that this book, written by a 17th century monk in France, had such an effect on me. Brother Lawrence and I had nothing in common but a love for God. And this monk wrote letters to a person who wanted to feel God's presence. And those letters were later gathered into the book. When Brother Lawrence entered the monastery in France, where he lived the rest of his life, he was given his least favorite job. He became the head cook and in charge of all the meals. And yet he grew to feel God's presence as closely with 3 kitchen helpers yelling for dishes at once as he did when he was on his knees taking the Blessed Sacrament. To constantly feel God's presence would be amazing, if not impossible. But the monk's sincerity and humility were touching and unforgettable. Living in a noisy family of 7, I had 2 brothers and 2 sisters growing up, I could identify with Brother Lawrence. Mom called our house a 3-ring circus, and it was. Yet this monk impressed me that God could be with me anytime or anywhere. For a while, I thought I wanted to be a missionary. I was always fascinated with other cultures and languages. But I also hoped that music might be a part of my career as well as an avocation, just for fun. Whatever direction my life might take, I hoped that God's presence would be in the middle of it. And in many ways that it was. I would like you to turn in your hymn book. You didn't know you get to sing, did you? Go to page 328, not the skinny little hymn book, but the thicker one. Are they there?
Yeah.
Okay, since that song was called, this is 328, the presence of the Lord is in this place. You know that one? Anybody? Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see, what key do we have this in? A, D. Song. And surely he is in this place, now and always. Now, when I was 16 years old, we moved from Illinois to Kalamazoo, Michigan. I was going into my last 2 years of high school. I was going to be a junior. My brother Neil was starting college. All the other kids were younger. I was the only one who was furious. How can you do this to me? You've ruined my life. I won't have any friends anymore. I don't know anybody in Kalamazoo. What am I supposed to be? Oh. And I grumbled and griped and everything. We were moving because my father, who was working in the Loop in Chicago with a lot of stress, had some, what we talked about earlier, he had migraine headaches. And he had been very happy as a young man teaching high school and then college at Manchester College in Indiana. And he went back and got his doctorate degree at Ohio State and taught business subjects. Anyway, he got a job for half the money he was getting in the Loop in Chicago, but he was happy from day one at not Kalamazoo, but Western Michigan University. He was for a while ahead of the School of Business, and it was a happy time for him. So everyone was happy except for Joy. And I got over it in about 6 months and liked Kalamazoo better. But it was an adjustment for us. They had a wonderful choir program. In the high school, they had 5 choirs. You had to work to become the robed choir and wear robes. And that's the group that got to do musicals every year. And I was in those, and I was playing the piano a lot. I really loved it. In my senior year, I tried out for the experiment in international living. And that was one where my town paid my way, and I spent about 10 or 12 weeks one summer right after I graduated from high school living with a family in Austria. Why did I go to Austria? Well, my brother Neil came through again, and he said, you love music, Johann Mozart, you have to go to Austria. And of course, then I did. So I requested it, and I had a wonderful time. Now, the good thing about it was that they chose people with similar interests. There were about 20 of us, 10 Austrians, 10 Americans, who traveled around and did things all summer long. And in that group of people, the one who liked music the most was Waltraud. That's a form of Walter, but the female is Traud, and she was Traudl. Ol means little Traudl. Anyway, so she and I just really hit it off. She lived in the mountains in the Alps, way up high, the highest of the group of 20 of us. And it looked just like the movie Sound of Music. No kidding, it really did. Oh, I have something here to show you. My Austrian girlfriend gave me I said, I want to go pick some Edelweiss. She said, you don't just go pick it. It's way up high on the top of the mountain. Oh, okay. And it's fuzzy, and it's 65 years old. I got it when I was 18 that summer. And it is surprising to me that it didn't turn totally black. But anyway, I'm going to do Edelweiss while we pass that around. If you know a little German, you know Edel means noble, and Weiss is white. So it's noble and it's white. And this is from Sound of Music, which was written by Oscar Hammerstein and so forth, not written by an American. A lot of people thought that was the national anthem of Austria. No, they don't even know the song. But anyway, it's a beautiful one. Thank you. And when you think about Edelweiss in Austria, I was so excited to learn all their little folk songs like Himmel und Erde müssen vergehen. That's one that goes, heaven and earth will pass away. Music alone shall live. Music alone will live, never to die. That was, of course, from The Sound of Music, and I'm going to have to back up a little bit here, but anyway, she and I had a lot in common, and we did a number of songs together and played a lot of duets on the piano. She'd see it go on one end and I on the other, but she said, I can only play with the notes. You're doing it, all this other stuff. And I said, well, yes, our family really didn't have enough money to buy all the sheet music I wanted. So I just taught myself how to do some, just to play by ear. So that was one of the songs that I did like that, and there were many. And so she said, I said, maybe we could do another Mozart number. She said, I want to do some American songs. I want the American pop songs. Okay, and I thought a good one, which I did do with Traudl, would be Blue Moon. From that period in the 1950s, when I visited her, it was the summer of 1959. Let's see, I'm trying to remember the start. Excuse me, I know it well. Let's see. Music alone shall live keeps going through my head. Let's see. May have to drop that one. Let's see. Oh, here it is. I started out like this. Just melody. Basic. She said, you were doing something else with it. Oh yeah. I said, you play that part. So she... And then I started... We had a wonderful time together, and I didn't think I'd ever see her again, but I was able to arrange with a wealthy woman from Kalamazoo for her to come 2 years later and spend 7 weeks in the summer with me. And we lived on Woods Lake in the south part of Kalamazoo, so that was a fun part. Now, it was because of travel in a way that I met my husband. From the Experiment in International Living. I was a freshman at Western Michigan. I got home 2 days before classes started for Western. I was in an honors program, and on top of it all, I had to give 80 speeches my freshman year of college. 80. That's because 40 different community groups were paying for my trip there and back. And then anybody extra who wanted a speaker, they put that on, so I had 40 plus 40. So I was pretty busy my first year, and I had this phone call from somebody I didn't even know, and he wanted me to give a speech for his college group, the Wesley Foundation, which is a Methodist student group. And I said, I can't give a speech to them. And he said, why? They have a sorority and a fraternity, Sigma Theta Epsilon and Kappa Phi. And those would be the same people that are in your group, basically, the Wesley Foundation group. So it would be really boring if I had to give this speech. Oh, he said, could we talk about that? Well, I thought there wasn't much to talk about, but my girlfriend Lucy said, he's cute, you should go, he's cute. So she said she'd drive home, and he offered to give me a ride, and I was living at home my first year because freshmen were not allowed to have a car on campus because of the lacking of space. And I had to live at home because I had to have a car to go out sometimes 2-3 times a day to give speeches, either to a very small group like the Ladies Library Guild or a couple thousand students in a high school assembly. It was just all these groups. So anyway, I thought, well, okay, maybe we could work something out so I could give a different slant on it or something. He said, that would be great. Let's talk about it. Can I drive you home? And so I said, okay. And anyway, I just lived about a mile off campus. And when we got to my house, we were having such a nice talk. This was the guy you saw at lunch today, I'm sure you saw. We were having such a nice talk. I said, well, would you like to come inside and meet my parents? And he said, yeah, I would. And so he came inside. We had a wonderful talk with him. And just a little bit later, when he left, my father said with his professorial tune, I think you should have a series of dates with that young man. And I did. In fact, our first date was sometime in the next week, and it was on the 23rd of October. And I remember it well because we started on that date either having a date or at least calling each other always on the 23rd of every month. Finally, in my senior year, the anniversary of 3 years anniversary of always doing this, 23rd, we decided to get married. And he was working at Vicksburg, Michigan to help out the pastor there. And he decided to go to one of the Sunday school rooms. Everybody was gone. It was after the youth group. And he proposed to me by opening the Bible and reading 1 Corinthians 13. Love is patient, love is kind. You all know the best words of all. And so, of course, I said yes. And some of our students came to the wedding, and at that time when you didn't have to feed them a whole meal and we just had cake and nuts and candy, you know, we had 300 or 400 people at the wedding and reception. And one of them was Wayne's high school, no, not high school, elementary school church choir director. She was a little whippersnapper. She was probably 5 feet tall, and she'd have these church kids in on Saturday mornings in for rehearsal at like 2 hours. She'd have them go. And I had never seen the woman before, but they came, she drove all the way from Detroit to Kalamazoo, a couple hours. And as they were coming through the receiving line to us, she said, "And to think you turned out like this." And I thought, who is this person? And evidently, he really gave her a hard time on those long Saturday morning choir rehearsals. One time, she asked him to trim her rose bushes, and he did. He trimmed them right down to the ground. And she had a lot of memories about him, but she liked him enough to drive all the way to Kalamazoo to see us get married. That summer, he was getting ready to go to Dallas for his seminary work, and we were married. We graduated from Western. got married, and I had my birthday all in the same week. I made my own bridal gown. We did it all that week, and then we went off to Dallas. And that was an adventure in itself, but I was there only 2 weeks before school started, and luckily I was able to get a job teaching elementary music, which I did for several years in Dallas and enjoyed a lot. We liked it except for the weather in the summer. It was beastly hot, like it's been lately everywhere. And so every year we were there, we would leave when school was out. He was, of course, doing graduate work, and I was teaching. And when school was out, we would go to my parents and his parents in Michigan, stay a few days, and then drive off to Maine. Yes, the state of Maine, which was perfect weather in the summer. It was just like the UP. And we enjoyed it a lot. Anyway, so I taught swimming and I directed musicals, and he taught kayaking, or at that time was canoeing, and taking them on 2 or 3 day trips out of the camp. So we did that for 3 summers. The first summer we did Peter Pan for our musical. The second summer we did Mary Poppins, which was loads of fun. They had swim fins on their feet, little penguins and all that stuff. And the Peter Pan was also on TV in Dallas for about 2 minutes, but they were very proud of themselves. And then the third summer was Sound of Music, and Austria and everything. We loved that one. So we already sang Edelweiss, but one fun song is Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Do any of you know that one? Yes. Because I was afraid to speak when I was just a lad, my father gave my nose a tweak and told me I was bad. You know that one. And told me I was bad. Then one day he saved my aching nose, the biggest word you ever heard. And this is how it goes. So it's Expialidocious, even though the sound of it is so precocious. If you say it loud enough, you're sure to sound precocious. Little I. The first one, Peter Pan, I loved. And I directed these musicals by just taking our favorite songs, most of them, and singing it together, and then I wrote just enough narrative to connect the songs together, so it worked well. The first one about Peter Pan, I'll do some words to it. Not that one. Well. I thought this would not be as difficult as, let's see. I know a place, and time is never planned. Not on any chart, you must find it in your heart. Never, never land. It might be far distant, right there where you stand. Just think of lovely things, and your stay on wings. Well, the students came to this camp for 8 weeks straight. Their parents came in the middle of the summer to visit if they wanted to. And they'd watch their kids, all girls, play tennis and all the things they did well. And watch their musical. Well, it worked out well. There were 2 weekends together, the 4th and the 5th. They did both, whenever the parents could come. And they had Peter Pan was supposed to fly. And of course, when I saw this play at Western Michigan University, they were hooked up with a hook and swinging across the rafters. We weren't going to do that. I said, let's just skip the song, I'm Flying. And this 13-year-old girl who was Peter Pan said, no, we have to have that song. Well, just keep it simple, I said. Well, we were rehearsing one day, and I had gone out, and when I came back in, Kathy had jumped off the piano bench, supposedly flying, and I said, oh, what happened? She said, I think I broke my leg, and she did. They put her in a cast from here to her toes. And when the second group of parents came, the first week went off without a hitch. She came out on the stage like this. She couldn't move it at knee. And she said, she didn't say anything. The whole audience just went up in yells of laughter because they thought she was messing around, you know. And so she found out that it was, they put her in a cast. So when she did it the next week, I said, let's skip it. No, I'm doing it. So she sat down like this, put her foot straight out and said, I'm flying, look at me, way up high, suddenly here am I, and so forth. She convinced them that she was flying. It was amazing. I mean, not really, but she pulled it off. So it was a lot of fun. And a few more things. Yes, married in Dallas, I know. When we were college students, we loved football. And let's see if you can identify any of these. Let's see. Oh, I didn't have this problem when I practiced. Michigan. Wayne worked there for 14 years and I taught there, so that was an exciting part of our lives. Let me see if we have anything more here. One reason that it was an important thing to teach Trottle to play by ear is that she can play anything. And I can too if I get enough time to start it right. But I want to do one last number. It's fun to take a song that you know and make your own version of it. And I did that with a little bit of help from Disney. It's a Small World. And see if you can recognize what countries the different small worlds come from, okay?
you. Have a good day. I'm done.
Thank you.
Joy, did any of your children take on your talent and do something with it?
It skipped a generation. Christy could play just
She's
fine.
singing,
She's more a singer than a, but she can do it. Her older son, well, her only son,